When you come up against a hard argument or an unwinnable argument, cognitive dissonance can cause anger. If that argument is unwinnable on both sides, it escalates to rage. It can escalate to ideological wars. People fighting to the death, trying to prove their point, trying to prove that their imaginary friend's the real one, not yours. It's not all doom and gloom, though. There is hope. Science is testament to that. Now, when you say science, people have the wrong idea a lot of the times. Science isn't a person or a thing, an organization. Science is simply a process. It's a process that was designed specifically to overcome our biases. And as well as that process, it's also the body of knowledge that results from the process. The process is just known as a scientific method. It's simply down to making a prediction, testing that prediction, and then coming up with your conclusions. But most importantly, being transparent about how you did it all, so other people can pick apart your arguments. Other people can test and see if you reasoned correctly.
But first, she was a university honors student who devoted her life to kids until the night a grossly overweight pervert named Homer Simpson gave her a crash course in depravity, babysitter, and the beast.
Aw, crap. Somebody had to take the babysitter home. Then I noticed she was sitting on her sweet can. I grabbed her sweet can. Oh, just thinking about her can. I just wish I had her sweet can.
So, Mr. Simpson, you admit you grabbed her can.
What do you have to say in your defense?
Mr. Simpson, your silence will only incriminate you further.
No, Mr. Simpson, don't take your anger out on me. Get back, get back. Mr. Simpson, no! Dramatization may not have happened.
A man came up to me and he handed me his Purple Heart. Now I said to him, is that like the real one or is that a copy?
Mr. Trump and his comments about the Purple Heart obviously show his ignorance to what the Purple Heart is and what it represents.
I always wanted to get the Purple Heart. This was much easier.
My 20-month-old daughter, her name's Ella James, and she's named after my radio man who was killed in combat. When I lost my leg, he lost his life. And I honor him every day. When I say my daughter's name, that's how I honor James in my life. Not everybody that receives Purple Hearts gets to come home with an injury. Some of them are awarded posthumously, and those Purple Hearts sit with their families and their loved ones, and they look upon it every day and remember the sacrifice, true, real sacrifice. That's what the Purple Heart stands for, and Donald Trump can't even conceive of that sacrifice.
You know, something very nice just happened to me. A man came up to me and he handed me his Purple Heart. Now I said to him, is that like the real one or is that a copy? And he said, that's my real Purple Heart. I have such confidence in you. And I said, man, that's like big stuff. I always wanted to get the Purple Heart. This was much easier. But I tell you, it was such an honor, and maybe I can bring him up on the stage, Lieutenant Colonel Louis Dorfman. I just happened. So I said, Lieutenant Colonel, would you like to say something? He goes, no, sir. I'd like you to just keep saying what you've been saying. Amazing. It's amazing. What an honor. What an honor. That was great. You know, nobody talks about the soldiers that are coming back with no arms and no legs. And I saw at Mar-a-Lago on Mondays, I make Mar-a-Lago my club that you know about.
In Palm Beach.
I make that twice now. On a Monday, I let returning Iraqi injured soldiers come to the premises. The most beautiful people I've ever seen. But they're missing arms and legs. They're with their wives. Sometimes they're with their girlfriends. And the tears are coming down the faces of these people. Well, I just hate what's happened to this country. We've gone to a country that's no longer respected. We're in a war that we should have never, and by the way, I'm worse than any hawk there is in terms of military and in terms of defending ourselves. But Saddam Hussein didn't knock down the World Trade Center. He had nothing to do with it. And there were no weapons of mass destruction.
But there was one performance this year that stunned me. It sank its hooks in my heart. Not because it was good. There was nothing good about it. But it was effective and it did its job. It made its intended audience laugh and show their teeth. It was that moment when the person asking to sit in the most respected seat in our country imitated a disabled reporter, someone he outranked in privilege, power, and the capacity to fight back. It kind of broke my heart when I saw it, and I still can't get it out of my head because it wasn't in a movie. It was real life.
Donald Trump facing new criticism for something he did on the campaign trail last night in South Carolina while defending his debunked claim that he saw thousands of Muslims celebrate the collapse of the Twin Towers here in New York. He appeared to mock a reporter with a disability. Take a look.
Written by a nice reporter. Now the poor guy, you got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember. He's going like, I don't remember. Oh, maybe that's what I said. This is 14 years ago. They didn't do a retraction.
That reporter he is talking about is Serge Kovaleski, who now works for the New York Times. As you can see right there, he suffers from a chronic condition that impairs movement of his arms. A Times spokesman says they find it outrageous that Trump would ridicule the man's appearance.
And this instinct to humiliate, when it's modeled by someone in the public platform, by someone powerful, it filters down into everybody's life because it kind of gives permission for other people to do the same thing. Disrespect invites disrespect. Violence incites violence. When the powerful use their position to bully others, we all lose. Okay, go up with that thing. Okay, this brings me to the press. We need the principled press to hold power to account, to call them on the carpet, every outrage. That's why our founders enshrined the press and its freedoms in our Constitution. So I only ask the famously well-heeled Hollywood foreign press and all of us in our community to join me in supporting the Committee to Protect Journalists, because we're going to need them going forward, and they'll need us to safeguard the truth.
Written by a nice reporter. Now the poor guy, you got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember. He's going like, I don't remember. Oh, maybe that's what I said. This is 14 years ago. They didn't do a retraction.
The irony is that Trump had used the exact same visual arm movements when describing others who, when put on the spot, were flustered. He did this in reference to Ted Cruz when he was explaining his position on waterboarding.
They said, Senator Cruz, what do you think of waterboarding? I don't want to talk about it. You know, he didn't want to talk about waterboarding
And though not as extreme, he did the same arm movements with reference to an Army general who, according to Trump, did a poor job answering a question about ISIS.
And I watched a general recently on television, and they said to him, what do you think about ISIS? Oh, ISIS is very tough.
It needs to be noted that neither of these men has a disability. Therefore, since they don't have a disability, and Kovaleski does, and Trump did the same arm movements for all three, then it must follow that he was not making fun of a disability, rather, he was giving a visual for something else. But the dishonest left-leaning media doesn't care about truth. As stated previously, they needed a distraction from the fact that their fact-checkers were wrong about Arabs celebrating after the 9/11 attacks. But how? How could they take the spotlight off themselves and redirect it back to Trump? Soon thereafter, the media revealed still photos of Kovaleski with his right hand in a permanently flexed position downward, announcing that he was disabled. The media then shifted from trying to defend their oversight of the 9/11 Post article, and instead, with disapproving shocked outrage, accused Trump of mocking a reporter's disability. Some liberals went even further and freeze-framed a millisecond of the Trump video at the exact moment when his hand went into a flexed posture. Then they dishonestly put this screen capture side by side with a picture of Kovaleski's flexed hand. Thus you saw the following photo spread like wildfire over social media, with commentary condescendingly and horrifyingly excoriating Trump as a monster.
While defending his debunked claim that he saw thousands of Muslims celebrate the collapse of the Twin Towers here in New York.
After the attacks in New York, Washington, and Pennsylvania. However, what no one outside the terrorist task force knows is that just a couple of blocks away from that Jersey City apartment the FBI raided yesterday and where they had evidence removed is another apartment building. One that investigators told me, quote, is swarming with suspects. Suspects who I'm told were cheering on the roof when they saw the plane slam into the Trade Center.
I would never mock a person that has difficulty. I would never do that. I'm telling you, I would never do it. People that have a difficulty, I cherish them. These are incredible people, and I just want to put that to rest.
So, Megan, come on out. Here's Megan. There we go. Hi, Megan. How are you? Good. There you go. Why don't you sit here? And Megan can sit right here. How are you doing, sweetheart?
I'm doing good, Mark.
You good. Terrific. Wow. What you got?
I have something for you. I have a picture.
Oh, a picture of you and me. There we go. Isn't that nice? Isn't that terrific? Wow. So it's been going well since the show?
Yes, it has.
Now, wasn't it nice to meet Tiffany?
Yes, it was.
Because you could understand and she could understand how you all live your lives.
Yeah.
There was somebody else who saw it. And he's a very famous person. And he wanted to give you a present, too. So watch this in the monitor. I don't know if you know who he is.
Hi, Megan. My name's Donald, and you probably don't know me, but I was watching Maury's show the other day, and I must tell you, you really hit me right here. I think you are so beautiful, and both inside and out. I had a little something, a little gift that I gave to Maury, who's a friend of mine, and a very good golfer. Don't ever play him in golf. He's very, very good, believe me. And I gave him a little gift for you, and I hope you and your mother have a good time with it. And you're very special, and you just keep it up and keep up that attitude. So good luck, and you stay in touch.
So, Donald Trump, he has his name on more buildings in New York City than any other person. And besides that, he is one of the most generous people I know. And he wants you and your mom to have a very special check. And when we talk about Donald Trump, when he gives out checks, we're not talking chump change here. This is big time money. So, look at that. Do you know how much that's for? Did you get all those zeros right? Thank you very much. All right. We'll be back right after this.
This is Megan. Hi, Donald. Good. I really wanted to say thank you very much. Bye. I told him that I thanked him, and he said, well, you're very welcome, and he told me to keep up the good work.
Only weeks ago in Orlando, Florida, 49 wonderful Americans were savagely murdered by an Islamic terrorist. This time, the terrorist targeted LGBTQ community. No good, and we're going to stop it.
Of course, every American has a unique identity. I am proud to be gay. I am proud to be a Republican. But most of all, I am proud to be an American.
I will do everything in my power to protect our LGBTQ citizens from the violence and oppression of a hateful foreign ideology. Believe me. And I have to say, as a Republican, it is so nice to hear you cheering for what I just said. Thank you.
I live in New York. New York is a place with lots of gays, and I think it's great.
Hey, Donald, I also believe if I was alone in a room with you and you and I were just having a drink,
right?
I don't think you care about gay marriage. I think you're all for it. I know you. You're for people being happy. I know George Takei said he took you to lunch trying to convince you, but he's the wrong guy to convince you. I mean,
He's a nice guy.
He's a great guy.
He's a sweetheart.
God knows what he said to you.
He actually did leave that lunch and say, you know, I really think Trump agrees with me. It's sort of an interesting feeling.
Don't you feel good that he's in a relationship where he's happy?
He's happy.
And he's not out like sliding around somewhere marrying a straight woman and lying to her?
I think, and he is happy, and he's totally in love, and he was explaining to me the whole situation of how he fell in love, what his partner looks like. And now I will say the argument of gay marriage is changing a lot. People are changing a lot on that argument, and that was one, Robin, that was 80-20. A few years ago, and now it's at 50-50, and I think it's probably heading the other way.
The minute the camera goes off, is it a different guy or is it the same guy?
Same guy.
Exact same?
Oh, yeah. How did I do? Was I good? I know I was good. You know, tell him I was good. His wife's great, too. Yeah. She's a great lady. He has great kids. There's a lot to be said for Donald Trump. Yeah, there's a lot, you know. He's a good guy. He is really a good guy. He's not a racist. He's not. He plays to that crowd.
But he hasn't talked that way.
No.
Interesting.
Not at all.
Interesting. He's a showman, too. We can tell that. Larry King, television legend. This was an honor.
A legend.
Fake news. You were the subject of a fake news story.
Oh, yeah, what'd they say? I was running for president? No, I voted. No, what'd they say?
You switched your support.
I switched,
yeah.
What
do you make of all the fake news and it affects
If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed.
So what do you do?
That's a great question. What is the long-term effect of too much information? One of the effects is the need to be first, not even to be true anymore. So what a responsibility you all have to tell the truth, not just to be first, but to tell the truth. We live in a society now where it's just first. Who cares? Get it out there. We don't care who it hurts. We don't care who we destroy. We don't care if it's true. Just say it. Sell it. Anything you practice, you'll get good at, including BS.
You told me last night.
Okay. But you heard me? Does that make sense?
And cognitive dissonance does this in a number of ways. Also, it's a great protector of our self-concept. What we think of as, you know, I'm a good, moral, intelligent person. That self-concept, it protects it for us. This guy will never admit that he was wrong about invading Iraq. Not because he's evil, it's because he really thinks he wasn't wrong about invading Iraq. He thinks of himself as a good moral Christian. He was President of the United States. He was leader of the free world. He was the good guys. Unfortunately, he also set up the perfect context for making bad decisions. You see, George Bush was well known to fire or demote anyone who disagreed with his opinions. So he cocooned himself. He surrounded himself with yes men. He protected himself from cognitive dissonance. So when he decided that there must be weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, all his cronies went out and scoured the intelligence reports, picking up the most tenuous little bits of information and stringing them together to feed his belief that there were weapons of mass destruction. That's what's known as confirmation bias. Seeking confirming evidence of our beliefs and disregarding or minimizing the impact of disconfirming evidence. And that's just one of the mechanisms. It's one of the most common mechanisms that our brain uses to protect us from cognitive dissonance. But it's just one of many, many biases that we have. In fact, you may be experiencing one right now.